Howdy SEO Moz fans, welcome to another edition of Whiteboard Friday. This week we're talking about the very exciting, very interesting, very controversial Google Panda update. So Panda, also known as Farmer, was this update that Google came out with in March of this year, of 2011, that rejiggered a bunch of search results and pushed a lot of websites down in the rankings, pushed some websites up in the rankings, and people have been concerned about it ever since. It's actually had several updates and new versions of that implementation of that algorithm come out. And so a lot of people have all these questions like, what's going on around Panda? And there have been some great blog posts on SEO Moz talking about some of the technical aspects. But I want to discuss in this Whiteboard Friday some of the philosophical and theoretical aspects and how Google Panda really changes the way a lot of us need to approach SEO. So let's start with a little bit of Panda history. So Google employs an engineer named Navneet Panda. The guy has done some awesome work. In fact, he was part of a patent application that Bill Slawski looked into where he found a great way to scale some machine learning algorithms. Now, machine learning algorithms, as you might be aware, are very computationally expensive, and they take a long time to run, particularly if you have extremely large data sets, both of inputs and of outputs. If you want, you can research machine learning. It's an interesting, fun tactic that computer scientists use and programmers use to find solutions to problems. But basically, before Panda, machine learning scalability at Google was at level X. And after, it was at the much higher level Y. So that was quite nice, thanks to Navneet. Right now, they can scale up this machine learning. So what Google can do based on that is take a bunch of sites that people like more and a bunch of sites that people like less. And when I say like, what I mean is essentially what the quality raters, Google's quality raters, tell them. This site is very enjoyable. Like, this is a good site. I like to see this high in the search results, versus things where the quality raters say, I don't like to see this. And Google can say, hey, you know what? We can take the intelligence of this quality rating panel and scale it using this machine learning process. So here's how it works. Basically, the idea is that the quality raters tell Googlers what they like. They answer all these questions, and you can see Amit Singhal and Matt Cutts were interviewed by Wired Magazine. They talked about some of the things that were asked of these quality raters, like, would you trust this site with your credit card? Would you trust the medical information that this site gives you with your children? Do you think the design of this site is good? Like all sorts of questions around the site's trustworthiness, credibility, quality, how much they like to see in the search results. And then they compare the difference. So the sites that people like more, they put in one group. The sites that people like less, they put in another group. And then they look at tons of metrics, right? So all these different metrics, numbers, signals, all sorts of search signals. A lot of it, many SEOs suspect, come from user and usage data metrics, which Google hasn't historically used as heavily. But they think that they use those in a machine learning process to essentially separate the wheat from the chaff. Find the ones that people like more and the ones that people like less, downgrade the ones they like less, upgrade the ones they like more. Bingo, you have the Panda update. So Panda kind of means something new and different for SEO. As SEOs, for a long time, right, you've been doing the same kind of classic things. You've been building good content, making it accessible to search engines, doing good keyword research, putting those keywords in there, and then trying to get some links to it. But you've not, like, as SEOs, we really never had to think as much or as broadly about what is the experience of this website? Is it creating a brand that people are going to love and share and reward and trust? And now we kind of have to think about that. It's almost like the job of SEO has been upgraded from SEO to web strategist. Because virtually everything that you do on the internet with your website can impact SEO today. And that is especially true following Panda. Because the things that they're measuring is not, oh, these sites have better links than these sites. Some of these sites, in fact, have much better links than these sites. Some of these sites have what you and I might regard as SEOs as better content, more unique, robust, quality content. And yet, people, quality raters in particular, like them less, or the signals that predict that quality raters like those sites less are present in those types of sites. Let's talk about a few of the specific things that we can be doing as SEOs to help with this new sort of SEO, this broader web content, web strategy portion of SEO. So first off, design and user experience. I know good SEOs have been preaching design and user experience for years because it tends to generate more links, people contribute more content to it, it gets more social signal shares and tweets and all this other sort of good second order effects. Now, it has a first order effect impact, a primary impact. If you can make your design absolutely beautiful versus something like this where it's content is buffeted by advertising and there's, you got to click next, next, next a lot. The content isn't all on one page. You can't view it in that single page format. And boy, the content blocks themselves aren't that fun to read, even if it's not advertising that's surrounding it, even if it's just internal messaging or the graphics don't look very good. The site design feels like it was way back in the 90s. All that stuff will impact the ability of this page, this site, to perform. And don't forget, Google has actually said publicly that even if you have a great site, if you have a bunch of pages that are low quality on that site, they can drag down the rankings of the rest of the site. So you should try and block those for us or take them down. Wow, crazy, right? That's what a machine learning algorithm like Panda will do. It'll predictively say, hey, you know what? We're seeing these features here, these elements, push this guy down. Content quality matters a lot. So a lot of the time we've been, in the SEO world, people say, well, you got to have good, unique, useful content. Not enough. Sorry, it's just not enough. There's too many people making too much amazing stuff on the internet for good and unique and grammatically correct and spelled properly and describes the topic adequately to be enough when it comes to content. If you say, oh, I have 50,000 pages about 50,000 different motorcycle parts, and I'm just going to go to Mechanical Turk, or I'm going to go outsource, and I want 100-word, 2 paragraphs about each one of them, just describe what this part is. And you think to yourself, hey, I have good, unique content. No, you have content that's going to be penalized by Panda. Like, that is exactly what Panda is designed to do. It's designed to say, this is content that someone wrote for SEO purposes just to have good, unique content on the page, not content that makes everyone who sees it want to share it and say, wow. Right? If I get to a page about a motorcycle part and I'm like, God, not only is this well written, it's kind of funny, it's humorous, it includes some anecdotes, it's got some history of this part, it has great photos, and like, man, I don't care at all about motorcycle parts, and yet this is just a darn good page. Like, what a great page. If I were interested, I'd be tweeting about this, I'd share it, I'd send it to my uncle who buys motorcycles. I would love this page. That's what you have to optimize for. And it's a totally different thing than optimizing for, did I use the keyword at least 3 times? Did I put it in the title tag? Is it included in there? Is the rest of the content relevant to the keyword statement? Whoop. Panda changes this, right? Changes it quite a bit. And finally, you're going to be optimizing around user and usage metrics. Things like, when people come to your site, generally speaking, compared to other sites in your niche or ranking for your keywords, do they spend a good amount of time on your site, or do they go away immediately? Do they spend a good amount of time, like, are they bouncing or are they browsing? If you have a good browse rate, right, people are browsing 2, 3, 4 pages on average on a content site, hey, that's decent, that's pretty good. If they're browsing 1.5 pages on some sites, like maybe specific kinds of news sites, that might actually be pretty good. That might be better than average. But if they're browsing like 1.001 pages, like virtually no one clicks on a second page, it might be weird. That might hurt you. Your click-through rate from the search results. If people see your title and your snippet and your domain name and they go, I don't know if I want to get myself involved in that. They've got like 3 hyphens in their domain name and looks totally spammy. I'm not going to get involved, right? Then that click-through rate is probably going to suffer, and so are your rankings. They're going to be looking at things like the diversity and quantity of traffic that comes to your site. Do lots of people from all around the world or all around your local region, your country, visit your website directly? Right? They can measure this through Chrome. They can measure it through Android. They can measure it through the Google toolbar. They have all this user and usage metrics. They know where people are going on the internet and where they spend time and how much time they spend and what they do on those pages, right? And they know about what happens from the search results too. Do people click from a result and then go right back to the search results and perform another search? Clearly they were unhappy with that. So they can take all these metrics and put them into the machine learning algorithm and then have Panda essentially recalculate. This is why you see essentially Google doesn't issue like updates every day or every week. It's about every 30 or 40 days that a new Panda update will come out. right? Because they're rejiggering all this stuff. So one of the things that people who get hit by Panda, they come up to me and they say, God, how are we ever going to get out of Panda? We made all these changes, we haven't gotten out yet. And I'm like, well, first off, you're not going to get out of it until they rejigger the results. And there's no way you're going to get out of it unless you change the metrics around your site. So if you go into your analytics and you see that people are not spending longer on your pages, they're not enjoying them more, they're not sharing them more, they're not naturally linking to them more, your branded search traffic's not up, your direct type-in traffic's not up, like, you see that none of these metrics are going up, and yet you think you have somehow fixed the problems that Panda tries to solve for. You probably haven't. I know this is frustrating. I know it's a tough issue. And in fact, I think that there are sites that have been really unfairly hit. And that sucks, and they shouldn't be, and Google needs to work on this. But I also know that I don't think Google's going to be making many changes. I think they're very happy with the way that Panda has gone from a search quality perspective and from a user happiness perspective. Like, their searchers are happier and they're not seeing as much junk in the results, and Google likes the way this is going. I think we're going to see more and more of this over time. It could even get more aggressive. So I would urge you to work on this stuff, to optimize around these things, and to be ready for this new form of SEO. Thanks everyone for watching. Look forward to some great comments, questions, feedback in the post, and I will see you again next week for another edition of Whiteboard Friday. Take care.